nudge you out of the way. Yep. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Hello and welcome back to SnowRunner, y'all. And in this video, we're going to be checking out a truck that makes the Kenworth 963 look, frankly, absolutely tiny. So without any further ado, this right here is the Gerlinger G953 Canadian Moose, and it is absolutely enormous. So we're gonna go through this thing. We're gonna walk y'all through all of the customization options. We're gonna get into the garage, we're gonna customize it, and then of course we are going to drive it. And also all the information that you may need about this truck will be linked in the description box. So without any more rambling and with a slight adjustment to the weather, let's go ahead and fire this thing up and get it into the garage. I'm not quite sure if I'm a fan of the horn sound or not, but the truck itself does sound really, really good. Let's go ahead and bring it around the corner. And also, I want to go ahead and let y'all see the size comparison between this and the little Azov, which is not normally a little truck. So let's just, like, nudge you out of the way. Yep. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I gotta say, it's not exactly how I expected this to go, but I'm not mad about it. Holy crap. It did that so easily. And this is in total default trim. I haven't put any upgrades on this truck at all yet, and it just pushed that Azov over and then walked up on top of it like it was no big deal. Okay, let's actually get you into the garage now because, excuse me, I think you need to be reined in a little bit. Now, digging into the engine options first, we've got the stock V12, we've got the field-tuned V12, and then we, of course, have the custom-made V12. Now, the custom-made V12 is going to give us an S power-to-weight rating, not quite an S+, but I'm sure that an S is plenty for something that is as massive and as heavy as a truck like this. Now, gearboxes-wise, we've got the balanced, which is the default one. We've got off-road, and then we've also got fine-tune, which is going to be your most expensive, but I think it's also going to give you the most sort of range across the board. So we're going to grab that one. And then suspension-wise, we just really have one suspension option, but I don't really think you need much more than that. So now we're going to go through the extensive tire list. And when I say extensive, I mean genuinely extensive. This tire list is absolutely enormous, and it goes between 66-inch tires all the way up to 72-inch tires, which, to be brutally honest, I don't think most people understand how enormous a 72-inch tire actually is. Like, a 72-inch tire is genuinely huge. 72 inches is 6 feet. And if you've ever, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're 6 feet tall yourself. Maybe you've stood next to someone that is 6 feet tall. Maybe you just have some kind of a reference for 6 feet. Either way, that's a literal 6 foot tall tire, which, I mean, compare that to a tire size that in daily life would seem large, like a 37-inch tire or a 40-inch tire. This is almost twice as big as a 40-inch tire. It's about like 8 inches short of that, but still, that is an absolutely enormous tire and genuinely like an absolutely enormous chunk of rubber, to be frank. Like, I can't imagine how much one of these 72-inch tires must weigh. That just, I'm not even going to get into that because I'm sure it's like a whole nother world of absolute like wackiness. So let's go ahead and throw these Terra tires on it. And then from there, let's see, we've got a heavy oil field winch extended, which we're definitely going to do. Then we have a couple of different snorkel options, one of them being like a cold weather option, and then this one being just a kind of a OEM fender location, which we are going to upgrade to. Then we have a couple of different options for the bed itself. Now, the gin pole crane is actually what goes kind of in these, they're almost like channels or cradles on the side of the bed. So as you can see, if we go ahead and we put it back in, it'll put the poles right back there on the sides of the bed itself. Now, we also have a different flippable fifth wheel, which these flippable fifth wheels are really freaking cool because they literally, see where that square is in the back of the bed? It literally flips over to reveal a fifth wheel trailer hitch, which is so freaking cool. Now, let's go ahead and get into the exhaust options. We've got double side stacks. We've got a single flap top stack. We've got double miter cut stacks. We've got a large bore flat top stack, actually a pair of those. Then we also have the double demon stacks and the double, of course, dozer stacks, which I think those are what we're going to do. Then as far as fender options go, you have original like OEM headlight locations, which puts the headlights on the bumper. You have the reversed fenders, which are the default, reversed fenders in chrome, and then the hood side panels, which you can remove pretty much at your leisure, so to speak. Then rooftop wise, you've got cab lights, you've got horns, you've got round horns, you've got all of these different elements that you can add to the cab itself. Like, for example, even down to mirror lighting, which we are definitely going to go ahead and do. We'll throw the warning beacons on there as well. And then let's see, front bumper wise, this is again, it goes so in depth here. Steel skid plate, axle protection, stock base, large base. Let's see, bull moose bumper bars, half rack bumper bars, oil field grill guard. So much that you can do. Couple of different wheel options as well. And then, of course, a full, and I do mean full, spectrum of color options to choose from. It's like literally, you want this thing to be red with a white stripe? You can do it. You want it to be brown with a white stripe? You can do it. You want it to be, oh, I don't know. Let's see. I'm sure we could just keep going and going and going. Like, you want it to be a, I don't know, like a dark plum with a white stripe. You can also do that. I mean, it's literally almost an, oh, you've got like blue stripe, black stripe, green stripe. There are so many freaking color combinations. This is like actually a lot more in depth than I thought it was going to be. The customization on this is so good. Now, there is currently no option to put beans on the dash, sadly. However, let's go ahead and get this thing out into the wild and see what it's like to drive it. Now, you might look at this thing and you might think to yourself, wait a minute, wow. You might think to yourself that my alarm is going off. You might think to yourself that the flippable fifth wheel is the coolest thing on the truck. But I feel like you would be maybe not necessarily wrong, but also not necessarily fully right, because watch what happens when you activate crane mode. Literally, the thing goes wild. And then boom, you have a pretty dang usable crane at your disposal as well that you can pretty much use for whatever you want. You want to use it to recover a truck? Go ahead. You want to use it to pick up cargo? Go ahead. It's literally there for you to do just about, honestly, whatever you want with. So let's go ahead and actually, we're going to restore that down to where it needs to be. And now we're going to take it out for a drive. So I know that there's going to be people out there that are going to say, well, why didn't you use it with the oil field add-on pack? And that'll be for a future video. But in this video, we're going to be doing a little bit more of a focus on the driving dynamics of this truck itself, because those are honestly, they're pretty special in themselves, because this thing, remember, is absolutely gigantic in size. And I know that it's not the biggest truck in the game. I know it's not even really, like, there are trucks that are definitely bigger than this thing, but it doesn't need to be the biggest truck in the game in like an absolute sense in order to feel absolutely enormous when you drive it. And I feel like that really does come across when you get into the driving dynamics of the truck, because it feels big, it feels heavy. I mean, can you imagine how enormous this thing would feel to drive on a campaign map while hauling a trailer behind it, it would just feel absolutely freaking gigantic. Now, as you can probably very easily tell, mud doesn't really stand in its way. At least not until it gets really, really deep. So if you're planning on taking this thing into mud, honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. It's just kind of like, I mean, you may have to go slow at some points, but for the most part, you're pretty solid. I mean, all-wheel drive on all the time, diff lock on all the time. It's almost never going to be an issue for you. The only time it's actually going to like truly become an issue is if you swap it up above the tires themselves, which if you manage to do that, I feel like congratulations are in order. It's time to get it over to the bridge jump. Finally, right? So we're going to get this thing over to the bridge jump. We're going to send it off of the bridge jump. And then we're just going to see if it survives, because whether or not it survives is honestly completely and totally dependent on whether or not the suspension can take a hit like that. Now, some trucks of this size have no problem doing that, and other trucks of this size have a big problem doing that. What I think is going to be the determining factor for this thing is whether or not the tires act like a big damper underneath the weight of the truck, because if they do, then we'll be fine. If they don't, then we're probably going to blow out the entire suspension. And I don't mean like partially. I mean like we're probably going to absolutely nuke everything in the suspension. So it's kind of just like a fingers crossed and hope for the best sort of thing. We are going to have to make sure we do it in first person, though, because if we don't, well, y'all know how the camera works. The camera in this game is really bad when it comes to, like, driving on bridges. Oh, we're ripping, though. Come on. Oh! I was literally about to say that it was fine. I was literally about to say that it was fine, right up until the point to where it absolutely was not fine whatsoever. But if y'all enjoyed this look at this frankly incredible rig, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time.